Perfect. Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Criminal Justice Showcase we have tonight. My name is Kyle Schwindler. I work right in the admissions office. I know that we just let you in and we're just getting started here. For those of you that just tuned in, thank you for being here. We're super excited and we have some great folks here to talk to you. Just some quick housekeeping items for the virtual event. You're more than welcome to turn your camera on. We just ask that while everybody's speaking, if you could just put yourselves on mute. That way there is no feedback when we're going through and we're talking on here. If you do have any questions at any point throughout this evening, feel free, you can just throw them in the chat box at any time. And you can go in there and just ask your questions. We'll be reviewing those. We'll definitely leave time at the end to answer any questions that you have. But if any pop up while anybody's speaking, please feel free. You can just type them right in the chat box. So we have some folks still just popping in here. So I'm just going to get them in. But like I was saying, my name is Kyle. I work right in the admissions office. So I am really excited that you're here and that you're interested in our criminal justice program at Niagara University. And I'm excited to be able to have some great faculty members of the criminal justice department here, be able to get you some more info, be able to kind of get you a little bit of understand the personality of our criminal justice department, as well as get any questions out of the way that you have. I'll definitely go through at some point tonight and give you just some admissions criteria and what we're looking for in an application process, but why hold back the good stuff when they're sitting right there? So what I'm going to do at this time is turn it over to have a spotlight Dr. Talia Hartman to introduce herself and the program.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here to hear about the criminal justice program. We are very excited. We have a wonderful dynamic department. There's 8 of us. We have 7 of us have PhDs in criminology and criminal justice. And we also have a professional of residence, the ex-chief of police in Lewiston, Professor Winkley, who's here tonight as well. And we have a lot of great things to offer for incoming students. So we're going to try to just highlight some of our program aspects that we think that you might be most interested in, but please feel free to, express on the chat what your interests might be so that we can kind of gear our presentation towards that as well. We are very, very student focused in the department. The 8 of us, we all have our own areas of specialty. So we have law enforcement, we have law, we have victimology, we have courts and different types of research methods. So we have a gang expert. We have a lot of variety of expertise within the department. And we all teach various courses in that curriculum. So without further ado, I think I'm going to turn this presentation over to Professor Winkley. He's going to highlight a bit about internships and those of you that might be interested in the law enforcement track. So, Professor Winkley.
Oh, thank you, Talia, Dr. Hartman. I welcome, and I'm glad to be here with you tonight. Just to give you a little background about myself, I was in the Lewiston Police Department for 26 years. I had the privilege of being the chief of police in Lewiston for 24 of those years, or I'm sorry, 20 of those years. And I've been with Niagara University for the past 14 years. What I really enjoy about Niagara University is the ability to meet with my students one-on-one. The unique thing with our department is when you have, for example, I had the freshmen last year, and I'll have those freshmen for advisement through their whole career at Niagara University. Which it really is good because everybody's focus changes. Your focus will change from day one you walk in till the day you leave. But what I also specialize in, I still have a lot of connections in the law enforcement community. I do the internships. I've had internships with the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. I've had internships with every police agency in Niagara County, Lockport Police, Middleport Police, Niagara Falls Police, Niagara County Sheriff's Department. Lewiston Police better let me have internships. And also with the District Attorney's Office, victim advocates. As Dr. Hartman said, Dr. Radis is a specialty in victimization, and she and I work very well with getting people, students into the victimization, domestic violence programs, so on and so forth. We've had a lot of success with those students. What I like to tell students is internships is a resume builder. It's a huge opportunity to put a special star by your name. The students who have had internships have gone on to the ATF. We've had a lot of students going to the FBI. We've had students going to the Secret Service. We've had students go into the ATF, as well as all the local law enforcements, which is good for all our PhDs and myself, because all the local agencies have hired a lot of our students, and they tend to find us when we're out driving too fast. I just want to stress that when you do choose Niagara, you're choosing a college that's going to have dedication to getting you employed in whatever field you choose. That's our job. Our job is to find you the opportunity that you want, and we work very hard to do that. I get a lot of pleasure out of hearing from my students after their graduation when they email me saying they're employed in a position that they've dreamt about, or a position that they didn't think about, but through opportunity in Niagara, decided that's what they wanted to do. But I'm open for any questions. I'm willing to help you in any way. I enjoy doing that. It's good to have the opportunity to teach instead of getting called to bad things in life. So Talia, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to jump in right now. Currently, the Law Enforcement Academy is at Niagara Community College, but we're working with Niagara Community College to give students at Niagara the opportunity to attend that academy and get credits towards Niagara University. So even though the academy moved physically, we're still a part of that. We're still working with them. We still have connections with them, and it's just a new location. It's not as close, but it's still with us. So that opportunity still exists.
Great, that's very helpful information. I don't know, I don't see any questions just yet. So if anyone does have any questions for Professor Winkley, please just feel free to use the chat, right, Kyle? And we will just continue on and discuss more great things about the Criminal Justice Department and program. So now we're going to turn it over to Dr. Taylor, who has been a community expert in the department for 20 years. And he also will tell you guys a little bit about the Criminal Justice Association, which is our group for our students. So thank you, Dr. Taylor.
I'm distracted by the alien above Dr. Hartman's head. We're trying to behind your head there. Is it a balloon? We're a very fun department. So I do want to echo Professor Winkley, who's been just such a tremendous addition to our faculty. We couldn't have picked a better person, so we're blessed. And we do see one question coming in. We'll get to that. I'll tell you a little bit about. I want to emphasize something though that Professor Winkley said. And it is, I don't care where you go. I do care where you go. We'd love to have you. We want you at Niagara, or at least to look at Niagara. Wherever you go, you need to take the power of your education under your control. If a school's not offering something that you want, inquire about it. At Niagara, if you have a specific interest, I've had students who are interested in mental health in the criminal justice system, so I created a class. I had students who were interested in the relationship between juvenile delinquency and violent video games. We didn't offer it. I created a class. And so there's lots and lots of opportunities. Obviously, the most important ones are for you to build your resume. And the best way to do that is through these internships. I can tell you that I can think of 3 students in the last 6 months who have done internships through us, but they did them at home. So we had one young man who, so Rochester is probably, depending on where you are in Rochester, New York, probably about an hour and a half away. So we had one of our students, he did an internship at home with the Monroe County Sheriff's Department. We had another student who we hooked up through one of our early alums. Dr. Hartman and I have been at Niagara for 23 years. And so one of our early master's graduates, Samuel Farina, is the chief of police at Fairport Village PD near Rochester. And he took one of our students. And then we had another student who lived in the Buffalo area, and we hooked her up with an internship at the Homeless Alliance of Western New York. So one of the things I always tell students is, it's great. Well, first of all, you can do more than one internship. For a number of reasons, we don't give credit at the same, placement site. One, we want to make sure that all students have the opportunity, to get a pure criminal justice internship. But so long as it's at a different site, you can do definitely, and I would encourage you. I'd be disappointed if you only did in 4 years one internship. And so I always encourage students to look at that outer ring of the criminal justice system. Right? So yeah, get an internship with U.S. Marshals, with the Sheriff's Department, with the NFPD, Niagara Falls Police Department. But don't think also about two areas in particular that overlap with criminal justice, which is the addictions world and issues of mental health, right? So both of those areas interact quite a bit with criminal justice. And so an internship at one of those organizations like North Point Council, right, which deals with overdose, addictions, and issues like that, substance abuse, that can come in incredibly handy. We also, not through our department, but in concert with our Office of Career Services, they now offer stipended paid internships if a student is interested in doing an internship at a local nonprofit organization. So one of my good friends is the executive director of community missions, and they actually do have a criminal justice program there as well, around what we call parole reentry. Okay, so when people are coming out of prison and back into the community, community missions assist them to get settled and to renew ties in the community. So you could do an internship at community missions one semester and get a stipend of $2,000. I don't know how competitive it is. I know they have a number of them. So the bottom line, I don't want to drag this on, but it is absolutely critical for you to get internships. I see a couple of things. Keep those questions coming in. I'll just tell you a couple other things, and then I'll turn it back over to Dr. Hartman. So I teach the freshman seminar course outside of our department, which all first-year students take. Pretty much at every college, they have a first-year experience. So I teach that. I teach along with Professor Winkley and at least one other faculty member, a couple of sections of Introduction to Criminal Justice. I used to teach law enforcement until Professor Winkley came on board, and he's much better at it than I am. So I also teach a course called Race, Gender, and Class, where I tackle some of the more we tackle some of the more difficult issues in criminal justice, and we turn a critical lens to our criminal justice system. We have to do both of these things. On campus on Saturday, we had a very well attended 9/11 ceremony recognizing and honoring the victims and the people who, the first responders on 9/11. You're not going to find a department that is less pro-police than we are. But at the same time, we recognize that throughout the criminal justice system, sometimes there are issues, and we need to look at those as well. Criminal Justice Association, Professor Winkley was talking about resume building. The Criminal Justice Student Association is probably one of the best ways for you to build your leadership skills, right? just as a simple member of the club in your first year, or any club on campus. I would encourage multiple clubs. By your sophomore year, junior year, you could be a treasurer, you could be the vice president, president, and those things look great on your resume. And you do some really, really good things and some cool things along the way as well. So there's no shortage of opportunities at the university and within our department. I have more to say, but what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Dr. Hartman. We can take a glance here at the chat and see what questions have come in and who should best answer them.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Taylor. That was very, very helpful. Okay. The first question was, is Niagara University part of a 2+2 program with Niagara Community College? We do have a lot of transfers coming in, right? Professor Winkley, do you want to take the question?
Yes, actually, I'm a graduate of Niagara Community College. That's where I got my associate's degree from. That's where I started. We do have a lot of transfers from Niagara Community College, and we do take all the credits. So when you join Niagara from NCCC, you are a junior. So you're starting your fourth year. And a bachelor, and the importance of a bachelor's degree today is, if you're going into anything, in law enforcement, of course, the civil service requires a 2-year degree, but for any federal agencies, the Secret Service, FBI, so on, they all require at least a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. And I'm sure Dr. Hartman is going to talk about our 4+1 program. But the higher your education, the more the better you are of getting hired. I can tell you that right now. As chief of police, I see a lot of resumes coming into my office. I had a lot of people applying. Of course, they had to go through civil service. But if I had the opportunity of choosing someone who had a 2 or 4-year degree, I always chose a 4-year degree. And I can say that honestly, because with a 4-year degree, you have a better diversity, you have a better understanding of your community, especially at Niagara with our work in your community programs that we have. Anytime, the problems is, as Dr. Taylor was saying, we are, I support police as a rule, but I also recognize and see the difficulties that law enforcement is having today. And when you have a college where you work in the community and you get to, I'm sorry, my dog's jumping on my legs, and your community, it gets you better adjusted, it gets you better prepared to work in the community. And that's one of my stresses in law enforcement is be a part of your community, not a pain in the community, as they say. So, but yeah, I had a question about the academy. Usually we have, or the internships. Usually you wait till your junior or senior year for your internships, mainly because the direction you want to go in. Like I said, a lot of students will start their journey in college and then change their focus, and you want to wait till your junior, senior year when you know where you want to go, what your focus is. So that's, and then you're also closer to graduation, which looks better on a resume. And I had Cal as a student, and he was all right.
Just so you know, I do actually, there was a freshman student who came in and was very interested in an internship and got an internship that I'm overseeing this semester. So while it's not the typical way to do it, it doesn't mean you can't do it. And there will definitely be, if you're interested in doing an internship or two, you'll definitely have the opportunity to do so before you graduate. So you don't have to take it as a freshman, although occasionally some people do. But we definitely,
like Dr. Taylor said, if you can get your own internship, we're going to work with you. If you get an internship in your freshman year in someplace, your local where you live, during the summer. If you can get an internship during the summer, we work with you, so that counts towards your class in the fall. No, we encourage, like Dr. Taylor or Dr. Hartman saying, we encourage you to get internships, because that is a fantastic resume builder. I remember looking for those on resumes when I was hiring people. And I know the federal agencies, the FBI as a rule doesn't hire you until you're 27 years old. But when you have internships and you have your bachelor's degree or even your master's degree, that age lowers. Those are the things they're looking for. I always tell students, always make yourself special. Take a class, look outside the window, take sign language. In law enforcement, the amount of times I could have used sign language. Take a course of language. Take a finance class. Take something outside the window that makes you different from somebody else. And those are the people that employers look for. And we try to guide you or assist you into making those opportunities available to you.
Great, thank you.
And I'll hit the button now. Now there's my granddaughter yelling.
That's okay. As far as the Canine Unit, Professor Winkley, do you have any connections with the Canine Unit at all?
Yes, I actually hired the canine officer in Lewiston, and we've had several students who are got internships with the Niagara County Sheriff's Department with the Canine Unit. We also, believe it or not, the one internships that we've had very much success with is the SPCA. And people say, the SPCA, what the heck are you talking about? They got a very strong investigative unit at the SPCA. And the students who have gone there for internships have gone back to volunteer. They enjoyed it a lot. They could not believe what they did as an investigative unit. I also know the local trainer that trains the dogs for the police departments. I'm very good friends with him, and he has had students come along with him. Unfortunately, my connection with the ATF, who just retired, he was a dog handler for the ATF, but I also have another connection there, so I'm not worried too much about that. So you have a place you want to be, you have something you're interested in, and I will work hard to find it for you. I'm not guaranteeing I can find it, but I'll work hard to do it. And I've been pretty successful over the past 14 years getting students where their wishes are and where their interests are.
Thank you very
Would that be
much.
okay?
Yeah, go right ahead, Dr. Taylor.
So a couple of things came to mind with what Professor Winkley was sharing. You know, I've always tried to continually try to think creatively outside the box. I know I had a student a couple of years ago who was really interested in law school, and a number of our graduates go on to law school. She was very much interested in family law, but the folks out in our county seat in Lockport, where they have family court, really didn't have the ability to take her for the full 120 hours, right? But they could take her. So basically what I did was I designed a syllabus, right? Kind of what you have to do in the course, with her doing about half time. So she did about 60, 70 hours at the family court. And then I supplemented that with some, you know, a couple of policy papers for her to do. So she still got the experience, although it wasn't the full experience if she was able to go sort of more full time. So, you know, and I'll share one other story with you. And I can safely say that this is reflective of everyone in our department. We had a young man, so classes here just started a few weeks ago, and last week was week 2, and Friday was the deadline to add classes. And this young man reached out to me. I had met him. He was a transfer-in student, and he had a family emergency. So after spring 2020, he had taken a little time off and wanted to come back. And he had been sort of academic exploration, and I'm happy to talk about that program as well, because that's nationally recognized here at the university. But he was interested in criminal justice, and I honestly, trying to get him back in, find him classes, it was probably a total of 3 hours of my time. And then come to find out that in the last year and a half, he's been working at a hotel in Buffalo and absolutely loves it and really wants to be a hospitality and tourism major. And so, you know, I made the connections over there for that student, and they went above and beyond to get him into classes at the last minute, because that's what his passion was. And so I'm the crazy professor who likes to ask you what you're passionate about, what keeps you up at night, and if I were to give you $1 million, what would you do to better the world? So you don't want me as an advisor, I'll drive you crazy. I'm only kidding. But that kind of
$1 million, Dave. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You know, we would love to have you here at NU, you know, and I'd love to have you in criminal justice. But if your passions are elsewhere, there isn't anyone in the department who's going to dissuade you. In fact, we'll do just the opposite. Do everything we can to get you set up, in this case, not just in another major, in another college, within the university.
I have a student currently who's in criminal justice who's more interested in fraud. You know, we have a class in private security. Private security is big money. We have an excellent computer investigative program, CIS, and I'm telling you, the future is computers. If you're interested in computers, that's a lot of investigation. A lot of agencies, both public and private, are looking for people who have computer skills. And the student who came to me and said, you know, I'm more interested in fraud. I got him. He's currently turned him into a business major with a minor in criminal justice. And I'm hoping when he is making his $1 million and gives me $1 million like Dave's going to. Thank you, Dave.
I'm going to chime in a little bit here because there were some questions about corrections and corrections classes. So we do offer corrections class. Professor Shupp is an expert in corrections. And we also have alternatives to incarceration that one of our alumni who's a federal probation officer who teaches that as an elective every year. So for Adriana, who's interested in corrections, we do offer that. We have some experts in the department who teach it and who are interested in it that you could take a few more.
As far as internships, when the internships I do with the Niagara County Sheriff's Department, you will be in the jail. You will work in the jail with that internship. I actually started my career in working in the jail. Corrections is a very interesting field. It's very entertaining, and it's changed a lot. And believe it or not, corrections is looking for higher educated officers who have a better understanding of the diversity of the community and the people that they'll have to work with. Also, there's a question about you know, the profilers working psychology. A lot of our students have minors in psychology and social work that work towards that. I had the privilege of going to the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia, and I got to know those profilers. They're all in the basement of the academy. It's kind of scary, but they look for students that have psychology and criminal justice because you have an understanding of the mind and criminal justice. So we encourage you to in our program, the opportunity to have minors is great. The more minors you have, we have students who have minors in psychology, sociology, accounting, whatever it is. Again, as I said earlier, anything that makes you different, anything that makes you special above someone else is going to work to your advantage. And we will work hard to give you that advantage. And
there was a question. Oh, thanks, Professor Winkley. There was also a question about a 4-year criminal justice class. I guess, Andrew, could you be a little bit more specific about that class? Was it one class or a bunch of classes?
He did text and say he's all set. He had his question answered.
Oh, he had his question answered. Oh, okay. Thank you.
But I don't want to dissuade you, Andrew. Jump in if you want. You got a great last name, by the way. Dr. Hartman, could I just add something to Professor Winkley's comment?
Of course.
So the university actually has 5 colleges, I believe, including our new College of Nursing. But traditionally we had 4. We've had College of Hospitality and Tourism, the College of Education, the College of Business Administration, and then our college, which is the College of Arts and Sciences. And both psychology and criminal justice are both considered social sciences, and they're within the same college. So it is not out of the question. In fact, it's pretty easy to actually pull off a double major, both in criminal justice and in psychology. In fact, that's what I was as an undergraduate. And of course, I fell in love with the criminal justice side. But we can absolutely help you pull that off.
Yeah, I've had a lot of double majors, criminology and psychology, especially related to law aspects in the law. And I've had students that I've worked with research-wise who were interested. I've had a couple recently who went on for PhD. One went on for a PhD in psychology, and then one went on for law school. So it is extreme. Actually, I feel like that's the most common double major that we get is criminal justice with psychology. And we just have a ton of students who are interested in both of those. The cross section between those two areas is very, very strong. And we have a very, very strong psychology department as well at Niagara. So. I'm sorry, Professor Winkley, do you know about any specific scholarships for women in law enforcement? I would think that there would be quite a bit there, but would you be privy to any of that information?
You're muted, Professor.
Oh, Professor Winkley, your mute button. Okay, sorry.
I'm an old man. As far as law enforcement is all civil service. You have to take a civil service exam and then score high and get in. I can tell you that I actually hired the first female police officer in Lewiston. I went through the police academy with the first female officer, and they're better officers. Don't tell my wife, but they have a better demeanor with people, and the opportunity for female officers today is good because we're trying to connect with the community. And of course, the old white male club of law enforcement from when I started in law enforcement 40 years ago is when I started in law enforcement. Those days are gone, and law enforcement is always changing. And it's not a fast change. It's not a change that happens overnight, but it's a change that we all know has to happen. And I can't tell you anything about anything special for female officers or any officers of any race or religion or creed, but the opportunities are there. I think that now is the time for anybody who's interested in law enforcement to join, because a lot of the old timers, older, they're not as old as me, but a lot of the officers are leaving law enforcement now because of, and that's what we discuss in our law enforcement class, and all the professors talk about is the different generations in law enforcement. When I started law enforcement, there was a different generation. There was a lot of war veterans from Vietnam. When I left law enforcement, there was computers in the patrol cars. There's all this stuff. I had no idea how to work. And now there's a generation in law enforcement that has to understand social media and cameras and so on and so forth. So the generation now that's leaving is leaving because they don't understand that. The generation that's coming in is going to be a better generation because they understand what society has gone to. And I think with an I'm a strong believer in education in law enforcement. I think it gives an edge to any officer that has to work out on the road. It gives them an edge to survive. And it also gives them an edge to know their community. So I put my email on there for you. If you have a specific question for me, just email me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I'm starting to understand emails now. That, you know, it's exactly, that question is exactly what we talk about in our courses. How law enforcement has to change and how law enforcement is changing. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight.
If I could give a piece of advice, I'm listening to Professor Winkley talk about social media. If you're on this call, you must have some interest in the field of criminal justice. One of the things that all four of us and I'm sure this isn't the first time you've heard it, but I can tell you from, I won't say firsthand experience, but definitely secondhand experience, you know, be very careful what you post on your social media. It is so common these days and so quick to take a video and get it up there. So, you know, you get more likes but, you know, even when you take these things down, they can be found. So, you know, it doesn't have to dictate your life, but.
I solved a lot of crime with Facebook in my day, and that was back when it was just starting. And believe me, take it down. Take it down now.
But these are great, folks. These are wonderful questions. You know, Kyle, how are we doing? Are we doing okay? I mean, I'm keep them coming. I didn't mean to put our emails in there to squash any more questions. We love these questions, you know, and also feel free to unmute and just jump in.
Oh, somebody just asked about the DEC. DEC does not do internships. Certain agencies do not do internships, and the DEC doesn't. But if I was going to DC, I would take criminal justice and biology, of course. DEC is the only agency, law enforcement agency, that everybody they come against is armed. Think about it. You're going into with hunters, you're going with fishermen who have some type of knife. So that's I give those DEC officers a lot of credit. Everybody has some type of weapon when you're in the DEC. I do have a lot of connections with the DEC. I'd be more than happy to reach out to them and see if I can work out something. But if I were to go into DEC today, I take some type of a biology course. Not that you have to take the highest biology courses, but something that shows that you have an interest in the environment. Again, to make you different from somebody else. I hope that answered your question. And I don't know how to get the questions.
No, these questions have been awesome. And I really think it's so great to have the faculty members in here and answer these questions. So please keep them coming. Oh, here comes another one. Are there any classes?
Oh, ASL, the Spanish, yes. There are our sign language classes. We have a lot of sign language classes. Again, I encourage that class. I wish I had taught every single one of my officers sign language, because imagine being a police officer where you can talk to each other in sign language and that person you're with doesn't have a clue what you're talking about. And I've come across a lot of people who are deaf. Lewiston is on the border here with Canada. And back in the day, we used to have a lot of illegal immigrants coming across the river, swimming across the river all the time, who were Spanish from South America. And I know they were saying something about my mother bad, and I had no idea what they were saying. I wish I had some type of language in my background that would have helped me. Spanish, Arab, we have an Arab class. There's a lot of classes that you can take that will help. If you're thinking about law enforcement, take them. They will help you in the future.
An ASL course is always, I always
Latin.
hear about that being the most popular course. It's always closed out. And the reason I know that is the professor's last name is also Harmon. And it's not my class, but it's, I don't teach the ASL, but it is an extremely popular course, and it's extremely helpful for criminal justice
Actually,
majors.
I like the question about Latin. Someone asked about Latin. If you're interested in going into being a lawyer, Latin is probably one of the things that you would be interested in taking. I'm not sure if we offer a Latin class though. I have not seen that, but that is a good question, because if you go into law or anything like that, Latin is used a lot. And in the criminal justice system, there's a lot of the things that we talk about came from Latin. So that's a good question.
I can jump in with a couple things here. I think, first of all, I hear there's an amazing course on the death penalty that some amazing professor at the university offers, right? Dr. Hartman's course. I'm actually not kidding. She has if you're ever interested in that topic, Dr. Hartman teaches it, as well as a number of other classes. Someone asked, I see when Professor Winkley comes back, we'll work through the question here of does Niagara do anything with border control, specifically with dogs? But let me address the other one first. Can you still minor in sports and do criminal justice as a major, or is it one of the other with all the other class? So here, let me tell you one of the benefits, and I'm not poo-pooing any other programs at the university. Some of our programs are what we call accredited. So there's an accreditation agency that sort of, validates their program every so often, 5 or 10 years, let's say. Some of those programs don't have a lot of free electives. They're great programs, but they're pretty restricted, right? And in fact, in the College of Business, to get the same degree that you're getting, a bachelor's degree, students have to do 126 hours, I believe, right? So 2 additional classes just to graduate. Criminal justice, on the left-hand side of what we call the curriculum card, which lays out all the courses you have to take at the university, all students get, criminal justice get 4 free electives. They get another, I think, is it 4 or 7 advised electives? I think they get 7 advised electives, and then 4 other courses that have to be criminal justice. But I don't think there's a minor at the university that you can't do as a criminal justice major. Now, if you were going to be, and I think, Brianna, the program you're talking about is sports management. We do have a sports management program within the College of Hospitality and Tourism. Because it's in another college, it can be done, but we have to be very, very organized for you to do a double major with with a program outside of the College of Arts and Sciences. As far as minors, no problem. We can easily get that done. Professor Winkley, the question above.
As far as the sports management, I could tell you right now that I have a good friend who works for the NFL. As far as what he does is he checks the air pressure in the footballs, and it's a part-time job for him. He was actually in law enforcement, but he had a thing in sports management. He gets $800 every single stinking Bills home game to go in and check the air pressure on the footballs. So you can tie criminal justice with pretty much anything, because every business, has some form of security that they have to have. Computers, sports, business, they all have some type of connection with criminal justice. And as Dr. Taylor was saying, because we have those free electives, we and Dave will tell you, as he said, we ask you, what is your interest? What do you want to do? What is your passion? And if it's something with private security, we'll still steer you into private security, business, computers, whatever it is. That's just what we do. I mean, it sounds simple, but that's our interest. That's our passion. That's why we teach at Niagara. What was the other question, Dave?
Yeah, the one above it, Ron.
Question up here.
Yeah, it says
The Border Patrol.
Border Patrol does not take internships. But Border Patrol, I will give you a hint about Border Patrol. If you're going to go in as a Spanish, you say, I can speak Spanish, you better be very fluent. It's better to go off into the Border Patrol saying, I don't know Spanish, because if you say I'm fluent and they test you and you're not as fluent as they expect, they're not going to take you. But if you go in as somebody who says, I'm going to learn Spanish and whatever, then you're ahead of the game because you already know it. So those are the tricks I've learned over the years from knowing a lot of Border Patrol agents, that a lot of people say, oh, you want to go on the Border Patrol, get a specialty in Spanish. You might want to get that Spanish, but don't claim it when you go into the interviews and so on and so forth, because they're going to drill you on Spanish. But if you go in and you know Spanish and they start teaching you Spanish, you're way ahead of the game.
Excellent.
Dr. Hartman, you tackling the next one?
Yes. Yes, we do. One of our required courses for our curriculum is a criminology course. We teach causes of crime. We are criminal justice and criminology department. So most of us, will use criminology examples in a lot of the courses that we teach. So even if you're taking a course on research methods or statistics, you're going to be getting examples from criminology, theories of crime. That is kind of the benchmark of our department. And Dr. Taylor, did you want to add to any discussion about criminology?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're adamant that when we do anything, formal, we make sure to include that title, right? The Department of Criminology and Criminal Justice. And I would venture to guess, to a person, a faculty member in our department, each one of us would consider ourselves criminologists. So, the interesting thing about criminology is it's only about 100 years old, truthfully. I mean, it's one of the newest social sciences, and we're interdisciplinary, right? We draw from sociology, and a lot of our students, one thing in case we ever forget to tell you, and don't let us, by being a criminal justice major, you already get, I think, 2 or 3 courses toward a sociology minor. So that's a no-brainer, right? And Brianna, you could do a minor in sociology and a minor in sports management with a major in criminal justice. But we pull from anthropology. We have forensic anthropology courses. We have a county sheriff who teaches a ballistics course as part of its forensic chemistry, which is a great, because all students have to take a science and that one counts. So something to keep in mind. The criminal justice system itself is the study largely of the system itself, the courts, police, corrections, probation, parole, things like that. Criminology is the study of human behavior, specifically criminal human behavior, as Dr. Hartman said. All right, we got the next question here. Are your students back on campus, or are they still online? No, they're here, right?
Yeah, we have, we're back in person. So, especially incoming freshmen, sophomores, all of our intro classes are in person. Some of the upper classes, I personally have enjoyed teaching hybrid. So definitely in person, but also online as well to kind of get the best of both worlds, in my opinion. But we do offer, we're back to business as usual, in-person classes. Students still have to wear masks, but, and as well as professors, but we are handling that very well, I believe. And so you would get, a more traditional experience, especially I would assume by next year. So hopefully that answers that question.
Question about forensics. I've done internships with the Niagara County Sheriff's Forensics. I have several of them there, but you had to have some type of basis in biology first. You can't just be criminal justice. You have to have biology courses behind you before they'll take you in the forensics internships. I hope that answered your question. My dog is on my foot.
We also have a wonderful graduate from our master's program named Terry Penny, who teaches essentially a forensic accounting course. And that's another area, I used to, when I was out at Cal State Long Beach 25 years ago, it wasn't long after this movie called Silence of the Lambs. And I know I'm dating myself here, but every one of my students came to my office and wanted to be a criminal profiler. And I remember telling them, there are probably a half dozen jobs in the whole country. So that's great. But let's have a backup plan. So students will often say, I'm interested in the FBI. I'm interested in the FBI and be a criminal profiler. And, when we start having the conversation and we talk about the primary entry points into the FBI, such as being bilingual, such as a science avenue, a business avenue, a lot of them say, well, I'm not interested in learning a second language. There are, in fact, it was funny. I was going to tell you about my babysitter who was a sports management major, and she's pretty high up now. She only graduated a few years ago. She's pretty high up in the Buffalo Bisons, which is the AAA farm club that is just down the road from us. And Dr. Hartman's babysitter, who was graduated from our program, she's in the FBI, and I think she went in under a generalist track, right? But she's had a tremendous experience working for the FBI. And importantly, I think she actually started at Target. She did. Loss prevention, right?
Because of Professor Winkley. Yep, she got an internship at Target.
And hold on, Professor Winkley will jump in, but early on in this conversation, he was talking about private security, and I know there was a movie called Mall Cop. And I think sometimes students will go there when they think about private security. You think of the frontline security officer at a mall or at a large grocery store, but the field of private security is immense. Where do you think all the law enforcement folks go for their second career? And they're making way more than we're making.
I have a good friend who went into private security. This was 40 years ago, and billed out at $250 an hour to go to businesses to look at their, put a fence up over here, put a light up over there. As far as employee security, it's huge. Private security pays very good money. The student they're talking about started at Target at $85,000 a year, and that was more than I made ever as a cop. Believe me.
Awesome. This has just been a wealth of information. And I think for all of the students, everybody that tuned in today, I mean, how awesome to have 3 faculty members sit right here and just be able to just rapid fire answer questions for you in just an hour. So I'm so happy that you're here and able to experience and be able to ask these questions. And thank you so much for asking so many great questions and some
really there was a question about virtual tours.
Perfect. So what you guys are able to do in this program, really to kind of boil it down, what I think is just some awesome points. I'm sitting here is we talked a lot about double majors. We talked about minors. What's really important when you're considering going to college or going to a university, especially Niagara, is you're going to have to pick one. You have to pick one to apply. You pick that major, you apply, and you get accepted. You don't add any minors. You don't add any double majors until You have boots on the ground. You are a student on our campus. So I don't want anybody to feel like they have to go home tonight and plan out all their majors and or double majors and all their minors. We will help you with that once you get here. We'll lay out, what that takes to get those completed. And as a nice side piece here, typically our students will graduate, Niagara University students will graduate with at least 2 or 3 minors. So we'll definitely get you those minors. We'll add those in there. And as Dr. Winkley was saying, make yourself special, really be able to take classes of things that you find interesting that are ultimately going to help project you into a career field that's going to ultimately work best for you. What I also really want to mention is what I think was uncovered for all of you in this Zoom today is really the flexibility and the autonomy that you have through this 4-year program at Niagara University. You can really decide where you want to go, what you want to do. And when we're sitting here today and you're getting all your questions answered, when you're looking at other different schools, what makes Niagara University different? What makes us any different from any other criminal justice program that you're looking at? There's a lot of criminal justice programs. Ours is the Criminology and Criminal Justice program. But what's so nice is that you're going to be able to get that clarity of direction over the course of your 4 years. You'll be able to meet with your professors, meet with your advisor, be able to understand, be like, this is my goal. I want to be a criminal psychologist, as Peyton was saying. And we'll help you take those classes and get those minors and help you build you to that point. So it's really nice is that you have a voice and you are a student, and we get to know you. And it's a really exciting piece. We have so many different majors, as that was talked about. There's so many different opportunities on your campus. So feel free to come and get to know us and jump on all of these different Zooms that we have. Some of our big time majors that we have meetings just like this across the board for all of our different programs. So if you're interested in some other programs that you have on campus, please feel free to visit our website and register and sign up. Which is a nice segue into that question that was asked about tours. And we are open. We've been open. We have not skipped a beat on our campus. So if you would like to come for an in-person tour, we have tours Monday through Friday, 3 days a week. So 9:30, 12 o'clock, and 2 p.m. Now, I know, like Peyton, I think you're from Georgia. So I think that would be a definite trip for you, whether you're driving or you're flying. But come, if you want to do a Friday tour, come make a weekend visit of it, check out Niagara Falls, be able to kind of get some info around campus. We would totally love to have you on campus and let you show you around. It's an absolutely beautiful, it's 180 acres of gorgeousness. So we love to have you on campus. We have in-person tours, weekly visits that you can come, and they're really personalized almost hour and a half tours. I'm from Ohio. Would that be an excused absence? Yeah. So if you are from out of state, any college visit is an excused absence. So if you need us to type something up, we can get that for you. But come visit us for open houses. Check out our schedule. The visit section of our website is really useful. We have an open house once a month from here all the way to December. So we have an open house this Saturday. We have an open house next month. And so what are we? September, October, November, December. They're on Saturdays, the open houses. So lots of opportunities for you to come and check it out. So really do. And what's also really nice, for anybody that's a senior right now, you're a senior in high school right now, we have what we call an Eagle Experience Scholarship. And this is something for me in admissions I want to talk to you about. There's 3 things that you can do to earn a one-time $1,500 scholarship. So $1,500. If someone said, do you want $1,500 right now? I think you would say yes. And this is the easiest $1,500 you will earn. So you have to do 3 things. 1, attend an event. Today you have attended an event. So you check that box. So congratulations. Step 2, you have to submit an application. High school seniors submit an application to Niagara by October 31st. So Halloween. We accept the common application, or you can apply directly through our website. Both are free, doesn't cost anything. And for this scholarship, all we need is just your application submitted. So your high school transcripts, letters of recommendations, your SAT or ACT test scores if you have them. We don't need those for the scholarship. We will need those to make a decision on your application, but in order for you to qualify, you need to attend a visit, which you did, apply by Halloween, and connect with your admissions counselor. If you don't know who your admissions counselor is, you can either shoot me an email or you can visit our website. We have a Meet Our Team under the admissions section, and all of our high schools are listed in there, in counties and territories and states, for those of you that are out of state, for you to understand who your admissions counselor is. So $1,500, super simple stuff, getting those applications in by Halloween. And I know that we were talking about, I said I'd give you some quick updates on the admissions end. What we look for, we are test optional across the board for all of our majors. But I do encourage you to take any SAT or ACT tests if you have the ability and if you're comfortable to do so. That way you have those test scores and you can decide when you apply, okay, I have my scores. Do I want to submit my scores or do I not want to submit my scores? So I'd recommend taking those SAT or ACT if you can. And take them more than once if you can. It's just more tools in your tool belt that you can decide to use. We typically look for around a like 85 average, at least around there. And admissions info and all that, we are more than here, we are accessible across the board. We want to help you out as much as we can. Every single one of us has had to work our way through COVID, and it's been difficult and it's been a struggle. So if you have questions, you're interested in Niagara, you deserve to have those answers at your fingertips. So we want to help you out as much as we can. So if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. We'd be happy to give you that info. We're no pressure people. We want to just give you the info for you to absorb, take in and consider. That way we know you're looking at other schools and universities. We just want to make sure that you have all the right information about us to help make your decision and go through that process. But the best way to learn is to come visit. So really come visit. We're open and we'd be happy to see you on campus. I think we've had a lot of questions in here tonight. We've had a lot of info. Dr. Hartman, Dr. Taylor, and Professor Winkley, it is so awesome to have you on here. Thank you again for answering all those questions and allowing every single one of these folks to gain more info on our department.
I just wanted to add, thank you, Kyle. I just want to add one final thing. If you do end up coming to visit, try to set up shadowing a class so you can actually see what a class is like. And so I just wanted to add that because typically we can make that happen as well. But any other questions? There are other things we didn't cover about pre-law. We didn't have a chance to cover the 4+1 graduate program. So any questions or any other things that you might be interested in, please feel free to email us. We left you our emails, and thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.